Hey guys, Philosopher here, and today I've got my initial impressions of Kate Bishop and the Young Avengers team. We now know the full team. She is the fifth character to go along with Echo, and then the three existing Young Avengers who are already in the game. And I think this is going to be, to me, a patch that's going to totally upend the war meta, for better or for worse. That's really what it's showing us. I will also say, we, in addition to getting the kit for her, which I'm going to go through in a minute, we did get a strike time video. And what I will say was interesting to me from watching this video is they actually showed footage of Young Avengers basically beating everything except for Weapon X. And so what I took from this, when you kind of walk through it, is they show them beating Shadowland, they show them beating a Eternals team. It seems they shows them beating Infinity Watch. It seems to me that this team is designed so, it basically requires Weapon X to beat them, or at least I assume that Weapon X can beat them. If not, it's going to be a very difficult and boring meta. So I assume that Weapon X can beat them, or some other new team. But the existing teams that we have out there other than Weapon X all seem to be losing. So very powerful war defense team. What, of course, that means to me, what I wonder here is, obviously, you should expect that we're going to be getting reworks here. They did show that on the strike time video as well. New stats for Squirrel Girl, for Miss Marvel, for America Chavez. Miles, of course, is on the Web Warrior, so he doesn't count. But those three got their rework. So, definitely a powerful team. And of course, what this means is if we have to use our Weapon X to go up against Young Avengers, what does that mean for Heroes for Hire? And I guess we'll have to wait and see. Definitely, we'll have Infinity Watch as an option, and we'll see whether or not, there's another solution to this problem sold to us by Scopely in the future. So let's go to the Kate Bishop kit. And one thing I'm just going to say straight up, very happy to see that this is a tech character. We need more tech characters, and I'm sure one of the first things that folks are going to be wondering is whether this character is going to do well in Doom Raid as well as War Defense. I generally recommend that players should not build War Defense teams unless you are very endgame and have a lot of resources. In other words, you've been playing for a while, you have a full roster built up, because generally War Defense teams, to me, seem to be the sort of teams that, if you are essentially a whale type player in an endgame alliance, it's the sort of thing that makes the money, that makes Scopely money. But I don't really know for most players whether this makes sense to build heavily. But perhaps as a standalone character for raids, she might be viable. Let's take a look actually and see whether that's the case. So when I go through this, I'm gonna be looking at how she does on War Defense, as well as how she does elsewhere. You can see, by the way, the updates here to the existing ones. They are on the blog as well. And I will just say, by the way, when you look at this Squirrel Girl now, it'll be interesting to see how she performs as a standalone character as well. She's already very strong and is used in my level of war. She's used all the time. I actually built her up to gear tier 14 just solo. So the fact that she's getting these big buffs is definitely going to mean something. And then in addition here, I will just say, there are significant buffs to Miss Marvel, although maybe not enough to keep her alive very long. I think she's going to fall apart pretty quickly under attack unless there's something new that I'm missing here. And then America Chavez definitely got a buff as well. But focusing on Kate Bishop here for a minute, on spawn applying offense up for 2 turns to self and the team. That's big, 50% increased damage and focus. It comes from offense up. And then on the death of a Young Avenger, or when a Young Avenger drops below 50% health, attack a random enemy for 200% piercing and applies blind and slow. So and definitely something that prevents you from just rolling over this team quickly. I mean, the idea is to beat you down quite a bit, so that you can't just try to have a big. You'd have to really take down the team very quickly, because this will slow you down when you get one of the Young Avengers down. when this character drops below 50% health gain to evade, I think this is going to make her good in raids, just because to me, this seems to me like the sort of thing, just like Lady Deathstrike getting the death proofs when she drops below 50%, or I think it's 50% health. It'll just keep her alive, gaining resistance. But this is the mechanic that I think is very important for you to understand with her kit. I think if you want to understand her kit, you need to understand this charge mechanic. So on war defense, once per war, she's going to get 5 charged on spawn. So at the beginning of a war, she starts with 5 charges. And then on her turn, if she's charged, she gives ability energy to the whole team, which is going to make the whole team a lot stronger. But this only happens once per war. So what this tells me is, and you're going to see there's more stuff that makes her powerful when she's charged. I think this team is going to be different than Heroes for Hire. It's going to be a team that is very strong the first time you attack them. Once you get them down, though, like they're going to be an easy 2-shot. Very different than Heroes for Hire. Heroes for Hire was so annoying because if the other opponent had too big a Heroes for Hire and you didn't have the right teams left, you could just be throwing crap against the wall trying to beat the Heroes for Hire and get nowhere, right? You just can't clear the enemy or can't get past a room. This team doesn't look that way to me, because once you go through these charges, she just doesn't gain charges back enough to keep it going. This is a team that runs out of steam eventually. So look, if you look at for example, I would say her specials on turn 1, this is the one way that gets her charged back, okay? So that I can see in this kit. So on her first turn, she's going to attack primary and adjacent targets, flip positive effects, very powerful. And then if this character is charged, apply offense up for 2 turns to the team. And then if this character does not have charged, fill speed bar by 75% and gain charge. So this is her slow way of getting charges back. But realistically, she's going to, that doesn't work until she gets to 0 charges. And so at least that's the way this reads. So realistically, this is, I think, a team you can whittle down. Then you're going to have, after that, on this is the big attack that she has, attack all enemy, the ultimate, but this will not be turn 1. Okay, this would be turn 2. Attack all enemies for 300% piercing. If this character has charged, apply blind for 2 turns to the enemy with the highest damage and 2 random negative effects for 2 turns to all their enemies from this list. By the way, very cool, because this is essentially, how many arrows she has, right? She's going to run out of her trick arrows, sort of, what we have seen in other places where she's been featured, that, in the TV show recently. Very cool. Then she loses charged, but on war defense, she doesn't lose charged. And she gains 100% extra focus for this attack and so on. So this is one where if she has charges, but she's got a limited supply, right? She gets 5 charged on spawn, and then on turn, she's going to get ability energy to herself and the team, and then lose it. And lose 1 charge. So she's got a limited supply of arrows here, but when she does super powerful attack, it reminds me of the ults that Cloak and Dagger have, where it's just devastating with debuffs. That's what you have here for sure. And then piercing is great because it ignores armor. And then on war defense, she won't lose charge for this attack. She's going to get 100% extra focus. And then applying speed up to the entire team, which is huge. 50% additional speed bar gain. Very, very huge. And, of course, can't be dodged or counterattack, which means she's not going to kill herself by unleashing the arrows. And then if you look at her basic, one of the more powerful basics, this just shows how much power creep there's been in the game. Attack primary target for 225% piercing plus clear 2 positive effects. On crit, chain to an adjacent enemy for 225% piercing and clear 2 random positive effects. Very powerful. On war defense, apply taunt to each target, which is nice to screw up if you're trying to, get everyone to attack a particular tank or something. You want to set up, for example, use Red Guardian with your team, have him eat a lot of attacks. This will screw that up. And then if this character is charged, gain 25% crit chance for this attack. This attack can't be blocked or dodged. So on the strike time video, they were saying, okay, she could be a striker because she's got a great ISO attack, or she could be Raider. Outside of war defense, where she doesn't have as many charges, having her as Raider would be more reliable in terms of getting on her basic, getting these random getting the chain and for an additional enemy, additional clear positive effects. In war defense, you don't really need to worry as much about that. She probably could make sense as a striker, assuming, and they hinted at this, and they hinted at this in the video, but they didn't come out and say it, that the ISO attack would resemble this. I mean, just getting a lot of piercing and 2 clears of positive effects alone is a pretty strong ISO attack. So what do I think about this character? I think she's going to be very, just my initial impressions, going to be a strong standalone character. Useful. I don't know if she'll be overpowering in the Doom raid. I doubt she's going to be like overtaking, Doom and Kestrel as the characters that carry you, but definitely a worthy character. I could see her having more value than like T'Challa. In other words, T'Challa, when he doesn't land his blind, is just a single target damager, but here she's attacking all. That's very important in a raid where there's so many enemies. You attack all enemies for piercing. You attack primary and adjacent targets. You got the status effect flip here. You're attacking ideally multiple targets. So on the basics, so definitely to me a useful character outside of it. So this would be the character that, of the 2 we've seen so far, that I could see having a pretty big impact outside of the team. As I've said, I'm not super high on most players in most situations investing in war defense. I will do it because I'm in sort of an endgame alliance and I've whaled out and I got a big account. But most people shouldn't be going hard on war defense. But I would wait and see how this character does outside of war defense and then consider whether this is a standalone character. They also hinted on the video that Hawkeye is going to have something happening to him in the future. So I wonder if perhaps she ends up eventually getting moved out. Her and or Echo get moved out to different teams, and Young Avengers end up being a team that has people cycle, different characters cycled in the future as they want to change the team up. All right, guys, if you like this video, smash that like button, subscribe to this channel. If you got comments or questions, put them below or go to my Discord. That is linked below. You can also go to my Twitch stream. That's linked below as well.